All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. And today's video, we're going to talk about Vindera at the Valley Phase 2. This is actually the last cluster inside of the Valley Phase 2. So I've decided to curate an investment guide to properly show you if this investment is worth it or not. And if you guys are new to the channel or you don't already know a lot about the Valley, I've actually already curated another video around 3 weeks ago where I actually talked deeply about the Valley. It's around 10 to 15 minutes. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about the Valley in general, what it's got to offer and from a macroscopic point of view, then you guys can definitely check that out. If you're curious as to how you can find it, I will include a link in the description down below, so it should be really easy to locate, or you can just click on my channel. It's around 2 videos back, so it should be really easy to locate. Without further ado, guys, I'm going to dive straight into this project in particular. And just like any other investment guides that I create, that I bring to my channel, I always start by actually mentioning the developer. So the developer behind this project is Emaar, and Emaar is known to be the biggest developer in all of Asia at this point. They have done various projects even outside of UAE, like Marasi in Bahrain, which is a very, very big project. And they have even got various projects in Egypt, UAE, Oman, etc. You name it, they have got various projects in these countries, even spanning as far as Pakistan in southern Asia. So when we also talk about Emaar in Dubai, they are also the same ones that are responsible for downtown Dubai and the developer behind the tallest building around the world. Now, you guys may already know this, but for the newcomers, this is some very good information to know. They are also responsible for Dubai Hills Estate, which is a 112 square foot area of community that represents a mall, apartments, villas, and very, very luxurious villas on the golf course. We're even talking about Emirates Living and Emirates Hills, which is the most iconic neighborhood in all of Dubai. In fact, the most expensive villa here was sold for 425 million dirhams, which is roughly around $120 million-ish, around that edge. So they are known to be a very big developer in Dubai, and they have come out with a project in 2019 called The Valley. Now, since I've already made a video about this, I'm not going to go too deep into it. However, I would like to mention the fact that there are technically 3 separate, let's say, areas in the Valley. We've got the Valley Phase 1 right here, which you guys can already see, the Valley Phase 2, and on the other side, we have got the standalone villas. And to show you guys a better perspective, now you guys won't really see my face, I don't know why, but here is where we can see everything. Now, the Valley was initially launched in 2019 with the first cluster of Eden, Nara, and Talia, which are actually handed over today. And here on my right, we will actually see the Valley Pavilion. And I can also show you guys right here on Google Maps. This is where we have the Valley Pavilion. And we even have got a petrol station right here already operating. And the Valley is situated on the Al Ain Road, which is just 8 minutes from Outlet Mall, which is a very big mall that is known to offer boutique-like stores for a very good price. So a lot of tourist destinations, well, not a lot of tourist destinations, but a lot of tourists do go there, and it's a very good tourist destination, of course, for that matter. It's 20 to 25 minutes from downtown and around 30 minutes to the current DXB International Airport. So in terms of location, it is quite good when we talk about the proximity to downtown DIFC and even DXB International Airport. However, the main problem that people say is that it is too far from Palm Jumeirah and Dubai Marina. As you guys can see, here we've got the Valley, and here we've got Palm Jumeirah and Marina, which would be around 35 to 40 minutes-ish, very far away. However, one thing that really stands out about the Valley is the amenities that they're bringing. And even if we zoom in right here, this right here is going to be the 500,000 square foot kilometers of Golden Beach that they're bringing, and we already have a mini golf operating inside of the Valley. Now, when we go back to this photo right here, as already mentioned, we had Eden, Nara, Talia already launched, and we have very close Orania and Elora handing over very, very soon. And even when we talk about the Valley at the current moment, it's a very matured community with a lot of residents residing inside. If you guys go to the Valley today, and maybe you don't live in Dubai, but I'm sure you can see other YouTube videos or even clips online, you would actually see that a lot of people are residing inside of the Valley. Now, even though I mentioned that it's very far away and a lot of investors have profited from this, you might ask yourself, okay, well, if the Valley is so far away, how is it really profitable? Well, it is because of the maturity of the community and the amenities inside of the community that really make it special. Because Emaar has made sure that this community right here caters to very specific end users that make them want to live here forever and ever. As already mentioned, guys, they're bringing a 500,000 square foot kilometer beach right here, situated between Talia and Lilia. And we've even got a mini golf course. They're also going to bring a roughly 300,000 square foot of sports village. And right here is where we've got the Valley Phase 2 with 2.5 million square foot of amenities right here. You heard that number exactly right. 2.5 million square foot of amenities. So when we understand a little bit about the Valley and what it's got to offer in terms of amenities, we also know that in today's day and age, well, in current time, the Valley Pavilion is already opened, as mentioned, and it's already operating with various coffee shops like Friends Avenue, Costa, even got a pharmacy and the supermarket and Dame's Dates. So all in all, it's got a lot of things that the end users do definitely want, and also because these are townhouses. Mentioned, Eden, Nara, Talia, these are 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses, with the exceptions of Farm Gardens 2, Farm Grove, this cluster which has still not been launched, but this side is completely standalone villas. So Valley Phase 1, Valley Phase 2. Valley Phase 1, most of it is already being constructed and some have been handed over. Valley Phase 2, a lot newer. And this one right here in the middle has already been launched, but it's not mentioned right here. Just thought I'd bring this photo to help illustrate or show you guys a little bit about the Valley Phase 2. This here was Rivera, which were 4-bed semi-detached villas starting at 4.78 million. And this one right here is Verdana, which is the newest launch with 573 and 4-bedroom townhouses right here. I think you guys can see my cursor. I hope it should be able to show. But yet again, we also had Vellora and Vellora 2, Vindera, Avina, which were actually 4-bed semi-detached villas as well. Now, when we talk about the Valley Phase 2 in particular, which would be our main focus for this video, I mentioned that there's 2.5 million square foot of amenities right here. As you guys can see, that is a very large, substantial number. So what do we exactly have inside of this community center, or as I like to call the Greenbelt? Well, we've got meadows, we've got lakes, we've got paddle courts, we've got basketball courts, walking tracks, running tracks, etc. There's a lot of lake, a lot of greenery, and it's initially meant for people who live inside of this community to really walk outside and embed that lifestyle of having the indoor-outdoor living, which is something that we're kind of missing in Dubai. Because if you go look at the older communities like ranches and meadows, they are very, very good in terms of the community itself, but it lacks in terms of the amenities and greenery, which is what most of the end users are saying. And also because at the current minute, we're actually undersupplied in the townhouse segment. So now that you have just a little bit of idea of the Valley and what has already been launched, now it would be appropriate to go look at the brochure to understand the project a little bit more, specifically Vindera. Now, as already mentioned, guys, these are 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses. The 3 bedrooms are actually starting at 3.07 million. However, the average price is 3.17 million, with the average built up of around 2,400-ish, and with a plot area of 1,763. Then we have got the 4 bedrooms, which are the built up area is around 2,900, and then the plot area around 3,100. So very good sizes. And as you guys heard, the plot or the built up area for the 3 bedroom townhouses are 2,400, whereas in Eden, the first cluster, in fact, Eden and Talia, the built up area was actually 2,000. So in Vindera, you're actually getting a lot bigger townhouses. With regards to the fact that Eden and Talia today are going for 2.8, even up to 3 million for the 3 bedrooms. So you're getting a lot bigger sizes, newer, and even, in fact, you could argue, even better townhouse quality because of how newer it's going to be, and the fact that every year Emaar has to improve their quality to meet the standards of, whoever is coming to Dubai from European standards. Now, as we already mentioned, this is where the Valley is. There is a little bit of the, let's say, typo here. If you guys even look on Google Maps, it shouldn't really be 15 minutes. It's a little bit longer than that, but that's okay. And here is the renders from what the community is hoping to offer. So as we already see, there is a lot of lake. There is immense amount of greenery, walking spaces to really make it seem like an eco-friendly community and to allow end users to really experience the true community and what Emaar is bringing to life. Now, here is what we've got. Vindera, this is Rivera, and this is the 2.5 square foot of amenities here. Just some more renders for you guys. This place looks absolutely beautiful. some more renders. This is kind of like a little lake that is actually inside. And this was what I was talking about. If you guys just see at the number of things that are actually included, you will see that there's a total of 33, which is quite a lot. But honestly, I'm not going to go through all of these. You guys can feel free to pause the video yourself and take a look at it. However, this is just to give you a little bit of idea. Now, these are what we're expecting from the townhouses. Now, the corner plots specifically are always going to be 4 beds. What I mean by the corner plots, well, townhouses are situated in plexes, which means that they're next to each other. So it could be 4-plex, 6-plex, 8-plex, etc. It just means when they're all clumped up together until they meet the end, which would either be the first townhouse or the 8th townhouse, 6th townhouse, whichever one it ends with on the plex. If that sounds a little bit confusing, don't worry. I'm going to also talk more about that at the end, so you have a better image and illustration as to what I'm trying to say here. A little bit more photos of what we can expect. In addition to that, what you also notice is full floor to ceiling windows on a lot of these townhouses. A lot of the old townhouses actually from Emaar, like in Springs, don't actually come with this type of quality. And, you know, especially if you're on a single row unit, you would always have a door from the back garden where you can open and walk directly into the community, which is a very big bonus because as soon as you walk out, it's very convenient, and you would also have an absolutely amazing view of the community. And obviously, all of the townhouses do technically come with a door like this. In fact, they all do. However, I just wanted to illustrate the fact that this is single row, and it will be a lot more of a premium unit. Some more renders of the units. They look absolutely fabulous. Here we've got some more photos of what we can expect from the interiors. 2,400 square foot built up for the 3 beds, guys, remember, and 2,900 average for the 4 beds. So absolutely amazing price per square foot. This was to give you guys a little bit of an idea. Now we are back here on the screen, and now is where I'm going to take you guys a little bit through. Now, you might notice that I'm skipping a little bit through this. That's because I already covered a lot of it in the brochure. But if you do actually want your hands on this investment analysis, I've actually curated. It is roughly 43 pages. So if you do want your hands on that as well, you can just talk to me on my WhatsApp down below, and I'd be happy to send this over to you so you can also get a better idea. But now we're going to dive a little bit more into the pricing, since I've already made a separate video on the value and just kind of explained a little bit more about Vindera. So yet again, guys, when we're doing comparables, it's always very important that we always look at the average price and not the starting price, because starting price per square foot is not the same as comparing it to another community for the average price per square foot. So that's why I've decided to put 3.17, even though the starting price for the 3-bedroom is 3.07. 3.07, and for the 4 beds it's 4.17. So this is just to include the average price. Now, when we look at the average square foot for the built up, this is exactly as I mentioned right here. And the price per square foot for the 3 beds is 1,823, and the price per square foot for the 4 beds is 1,391. And this is where the real investment analysis comes into place. This is where we can see whether or not, based on the price per square foot, if this unit actually makes sense, because we can look at the amenities, we can look at what Emaar is trying to bring to life. But if we don't look at the specific price per square foot, then it doesn't really make sense for us even to make a rational judgment as to why this investment would make sense. So I have brought this statistic right in front of us, and I have decided to compare this to Ruba in Arabian Ranches 3, which was handed over early this year. And Ranches 3 is another community by Emaar. And I'm going to show you guys exactly where it's located. So to give you guys a reference, here is the valley. Okay, I'm going to just point it here at the red. And here is where we have got Arabian Ranches 3. Right here, guys. And I have zoomed in way too much. Regardless, this is where we have got Arabian Ranches 3. And now that you guys have an idea, Ruba is also a very similar style. It's in fact another townhouse by Emaar. Even though Ranches 3 in total has not been fully handed over, we are still waiting for the standalone villas like the Elisa branded, Raya, Anya, and May. So when we take a look at the average price in Ruba, let's start with the 3 beds. They're going currently right now, according to DXB Interact, for the past 3 months, as already mentioned right here, they are going for 3.288 million, with the average square foot on the built-up for 2050. So if you already see the built-up area is a lot smaller in Ruba, and in Vindera, you are getting a much bigger size on the layout. In fact, a way bigger size, 350 square foot, not even to add an extra bedroom or to add any more rooms, is a lot of space, because a lot of people in Ruba and in the Arabian Ranches 3 community have actually complained that the living room is a bit too small. So not only now are you getting a cheaper unit, a newer unit, but also you're getting a lot bigger sizes, which is also a very, very big bonus when it comes to a lot of end users. Hence why a lot of investors are eyeing this specific cluster in the Valley Phase 2. Now, when we also take a look at the plot, of course, in Vindera, it's also a lot bigger. But when we take a look at the price per square foot, it's 1,823 to 2,100. However, if we are looking at the payment plan, which, by the way, I didn't mention, was on an 80/20 with the completion date of Q4 of 2029, if you are paying 80% until the handover, what we usually see is that we see a lot of demand from end users, hence the prices being able to increase over time. And if we just look conservatively by the fact that if you pay 80% and look at the price per square foot gap for Vindera to Ruba, that would be approximately 44% return on your capital, which is very, very good in today's market, considering that there is a lot of projects being launched every single day. And the fact that you can even achieve this with, I will say this, 95% of apartments. There is only a certain segment that you can actually do. In addition to that, the townhouse and villa market is growing very rapidly. Why? Because we are facing an undersupply. Additionally, if we just pay the full amount, then it would be 15.2%. It was actually, the percentage was meant to be after the 2, made a typo there. However, when we also look right here for the 4 beds, this is where we can make the most capital with 50.7%. Why? Because of the price per square foot gap of 1,391 to 1,730. However, this 1,391, you need to multiply it by 0.8 because that is how much you're technically paying. And then you see the difference for 1,730, which is 50.7%. So all in all, the conservative value for Vindera is very, very good. You guys can even do this comparative analysis for other townhouse communities by Emaar. You can feel free to do it as well for the likes of June and Sun, and you will still see that this is a very good buy. Now, when we take a look at the average rentals in Ruba and Arabian Ranches 3, we already know the prices. However, right here, we have the rentals, which is 175,000 averagely for a 3-bed and 240,000 for a 4-bed. So now that we have an idea of what to expect from this project and what we actually know the value or conservative value could be on handover by comparing it to nearby communities by the same developer, similar style, etc., that's how we actually know whether or not an investment is actually good. And just to add something else, I keep emphasizing this, but it's very, very important for you guys to understand that the townhouse sizes for this specific launch is so much bigger than the previous Emaar launches. When we even take a look at Eden and Antalya, they were just 2,000. When we take a look at Arabian Ranches 3, for example, the 3 beds are 2,000. You're adding 400 square foot more for the 3 beds. You're adding roughly 300 square foot on the built-up for the 4 beds. This is very significant because now you have a lot more space to enjoy. And the number one thing that most people complain about in these Emaar townhouses is actually the living room space. So now Emaar said, you know what, we're going to come up with a new community. We're going to come up with new townhouses that are not only cheaper, but they're a lot bigger and they actually cater to exactly the feedback that they have received, which is very, very significant when you are talking about investments. Additionally, now we will go to the floor plans. We have got 2 different styles, Style 1 and Style 2. Style 1 is just slightly bit bigger than Style 2. And if you guys remember when I talked about the plexes, here is a little bit of a better understanding for you guys to kind of grasp your head around. This is what we mean by a 6-plex right here. So when we take a look at the floor plan right here, this one right here is 2,400 square foot on the built-up. As we see, the entrance right here is to the side. We also see this exact same entrance style in Ruba Arabian Ranches 3. Right here, we've got the maid's room. And this right here is where I wanted to emphasize very, very, very spacious living room and a semi-closed kitchen, or not semi-closed kitchen, actually, an open-styled kitchen right here. But even in Ranches 3, we don't really have this sort of style. In fact, it's all very clumped up together, which is not a very good thing. Yet people are still choosing to live there and paying the price of 3.3 million just for the 3 beds. So this goes to show you, yet again, as I already mentioned many times, because I want to emphasize it, that the sizing here is very, very important. Now, as we head upstairs right here, we will obviously be greeted with a master bedroom, which has its very own ensuite. And then we've got bedroom number 1 and bedroom number 2, which do unfortunately share a bathroom right here. But, this is the standard type of townhouses that Emaar actually released, so nothing really changed there. Of course, the sizes overall have increased a lot, dramatically, I would say, and that's very good. Now, nothing really changed between style 1 and style 2. Style 2 is just a little bit smaller, so won't go through that much. There's many different plexuses that I've included in this guide, but we will then go on to the 4 bedroom, which are roughly, as already mentioned, 2,900 square foot. And what we can... Okay, guys, this is actually when I'm filming right after I already recorded the initial video. Turns out the microphone all of a sudden decided not to work. So if you guys are wondering, yes, the positioning might be a little bit weird. It's a little bit different, but this is actually a brand new clip. So just to continue off from what I was saying in the previous clip, here we have got the 4 bedrooms, very similar. We have got just 2 different styles, style 1 and style 2. So when we take a look at this townhouse right here, very, very similar to the 3 bedroom, obviously just a lot bigger in size, but also the entryway is further down here as we go to your garden on the plot that is 3,100. Very big for a plot, especially for a 4-bedroom townhouse. So as we enter on the left, we will be greeted with a guest bedroom here. And if we continue a little bit straight, here we've got a maze room with its very own ensuite. We've got a powder room. We've got a living room right here, dining area, and the open style kitchen. Yet again, nothing too new. And as we head upstairs right here, we've got the master bedroom with its very own balcony, its very own ensuite. As we continue right here, one thing that is very, very good about this particular townhouse, especially now for the 4 bedrooms, is that you will notice right here that even bedroom number 2 has got its very own ensuite. In fact, even bedroom number 3 has got its very own ensuite. But you will notice that this one is just a tiny bit bigger because it's also kind of got its walk-in closet and the fact that it's got its very own balcony. So this one would mostly not, obviously it's not going to be the master bedroom, but it's definitely maybe going to be given to the oldest child of the family. And here we have got style 2, just a tiny bit smaller on the built-up area. But yet again, guys, the 4 bedrooms I already mentioned are always corner plots here on the plexus. So we can see that, whether it's highlighted blue, orange, right here. And this is what we see. Now, this goes over the floor plan. And I would just like to move to this slide for the last part, where I want to mention which units are the best to get. Well, the best units you could get are obviously the ones that are facing onto the amenities and the ones facing onto the park here. And I believe I could get a better representation of what that looks like. Yep, right here is a lot better. I don't know why I use that image. But anyways, guys, these units right here are obviously the most premium ones to get, plus the ones that face inside of this internal amenities area. Single row, preferably also if it's vastu, which means that the front door of the house should not be facing south. This is very important for Hindu buyers. And I do mention this in a lot of my videos because Hindu buyers make up a majority of the market. So if you can pick up a unit that is vastu compliant, guess what? You're going to get a lot more demand from Hindu buyers, which means that once you have created more demand for your unit, you as a seller are able to take advantage of that and raise up the prices. Because if there's no demand for your unit, even though the community is very good, you are not going to get a lot of buyers. And because of that, you are forced to lower down your prices just to actually cash out. So even though it's very important to be investing in a very good cluster, in a very good community like the Valley, it's also extremely important to actually pick up the correct unit. And without further ado, guys, this concludes this video regarding Vindera at the Valley. I know I did not necessarily talk too much about the Valley in the beginning, like when I do in other videos, but that's only because I've already curated a video. And if you've already made it this far without watching that video, I do still highly recommend you watch that. I will include the link in the description down below. You can watch that video to help you understand a little bit more about the history of the Valley and what it's got to offer. And in regards to the EOIs for this project, they are already starting. So if you would like to talk a little bit more about this project, or if you would like this investment analysis guide, you can just text me on my number. It's also down below. My WhatsApp is there. Just text me your full name if you would like the guide, or if you'd like to schedule a meeting with me to talk more about this project, you can also talk to me on WhatsApp. We'll schedule that in to talk more about this project, how it suits you. And without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you another time.